Detective, are you familiar with what is known as the walk the dog leg?
Yes, I am.
Scott?
No!
Exhibit 2-86R, please.
It's day 12 of the Kouri Richins trial. It's Wednesday, 3/11, March 11th. It's time to go to court. Let's talk a little bit about what happened today. We're going to need to talk about what happened yesterday, because yesterday was quite a lot. And it didn't end there. For all of you that have the Law Nerd app, you got updates yesterday. I also did a real quick YouTube short update yesterday. But for those of you that are like, girl, what is happening? The judge made a new ruling at the end of the day yesterday. Remember, at the end of the court day yesterday, the court ordered the jury back for 1 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, so MDT. The judge gave the attorneys that much time because there was more that they still needed to sort out that clearly wasn't getting sorted out. And the defense asked for a 2-day continuance. And the judge was like, no, you're not getting a 2-day continuance. But then so much happened. So much happened. Then the court makes a new ruling last night. And the court's new ruling is, hey, so when we were all talking about this, the defense didn't raise the issue, but I'm raising the issue because I don't know. I need more foundation. I need to know that these statements were made before like a motive to lie. So it needs to be before we get to, hey, you need a deal. We've got a deal. Tell us what we want to know. Before there's any motive to lie, before there's any pressure on Carmen Lauber. And the court's like, I'm not clear from everything y'all have said when these statements happened. Did these statements happen when the police sat down with Carmen? Or did she say, fuck you, I'm not saying shit, until the police were like, but girl, you're going to go away for a long time. And then this is all hyperbole on my end. We're going to need some more. So why don't we all play Let's Make a Deal, and you tell us what you know, and we'll make sure you're taken care of. Were the statements made before or after that tipping point? I'm not saying that's literally what was said. So the court didn't bring it up yesterday. I mean, I didn't even bring it up. I'm like, well, obviously the defense would have argued this if this was a problem. Silly me, Emily. Don't assume that because the defense doesn't raise the issue, it's not still an issue. That's my bad. So the court, in their own motion, sua sponte, on their own motion, said, I need to know, I need to know when these things were made. I'm not confident because I don't know. And what lawyers sometimes forget is that the judge doesn't have everything that the lawyers do. The judge can't just go through the transcripts and perceive it for themselves. The judge has what's filed and given to them. The judge does not have the entire case file. They are the umpire. They don't have the playbook. They only have what's given to them. So in the filing, they don't give the court everything. And the defense didn't object to it. And the court said, instead of assuming that this is all fine, I'm going to need y'all to spell it out for me. I think that the court probably doesn't trust that it's going to get brought up either. So then the defense files their motion. It seems that it was around 6 p.m. because it was pretty close in time when I pulled it up, and said, Your Honor, we got an email from the prosecution. This is all moot because the prosecution says they're now only going with these two under the rule of completeness 106. So now we're back at the beginning.
Counsel, last evening I sent out notice of the court's decision denying defendant's motion.
I did not see that on the record.
I'll issue a written ruling providing the
Oh,
court's
because that would have been an
analysis
email.
in the due course, but I needed to make sure that you had notice of that decision. I also gave notice of the court's designing a remedy under Rule 16 of requiring the state to recall Ms. Lauber in its case in chief to
What?
make sure that defendant has an opportunity to cross-examine Ms. Lauber
Why?
about the alleged violation of her drug court probation in November 2023. I know only 12 hours have transpired since that time.
When we say abundance of caution, we are going with abundance of caution.
Mr. Bloodworth, but what is the state's expectation?
Your Honor, she will be here at 1 o'clock.
Oh, all right. She's coming in today.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So the prosecution has decided that in most things, taking the path of least resistance is going to be the way that they are going to go. The prosecution oftentimes have alternate avenues that they can pick to do any given thing. So yesterday there was much fighting over the interviews of Carmen Lauber and bringing them in under Rule 801 D1B under those rules of evidence. The judge gave a new ruling, and then we shifted into, you know what, we're just going to use the rule of completeness. Less fuss for appeal, less discretion, less we have to deal with. Just narrow it down, keep it simple. Let's keep it simple. And we learned that the judge actually held a WebEx meeting with the lawyers yesterday with regard to his ruling, so they would have had time to also have more of a conversation with the court. And then there were emails back and forth trying to narrow this down. So the state, again, this takes a seasoned and confident attorney to be like, we can do this multiple ways. Because if you are stuck in fight mode, there will be attorneys that are like, nah, fight. I just want to fight. I can win this fight. I just want to fight. The prosecution has very consistently shown that they're just willing to pivot. They're like, nah, no, pivot. We'll do it the other way. We're not doing that. So we heard that numerous areas of Carmen Lauber's interview with law enforcement that were not shown by the defense will be coming in. Interesting strategy for the defense to narrow those things down. If they're out of context, I think the timing of these coming in now actually might be worse for the defense than if they had come in earlier. Because the way that I see those interviews originally was not great when they're like, didn't police say to you, we just need the details to ensure we convict Kouri Richins? I'm like, why the fuck would you say that? That's real heavy-handed. What are we doing? Some of those things were an eyebrow. This is your big get out of jail free card. But after the Bryce texts, that eyebrow is raised more at the defense than it is right now at any of the other messages. Because those Bryce texts burned whatever was left of goodwill for the defense to the fucking ground. Once we got to, but aren't they discussing having an open marriage? And we got to, these friends were joking, and he's like, so I'm bringing you over tonight, my guy. You're like, give me a fucking break. It's like, I have other uses for your throat in the Depp Heard case. The misreading of texts burned people's good faith in what you are saying and what you are representing is the truth. So now it might actually look worse after the jury's been burned with, but aren't there sexts? Really? So when we got to all of the sexting texts, and now we come back around to those interviews that might have stuck out with the jury, we get back to the get out of jail free card, and we get out of the get out of jail free card, and now we get the rest of it. I think the timing actually may work for the prosecution better than before.
Have you violated any of the conditions that you agreed to since you signed that paper?
Weapon one? Is that
I'm
the one
sorry,
you're talking
what?
about? The weapon one? Is that the one you're talking about?
I'm asking you, did you violate the weapons condition?
If there was a weapon found in my room when they raided it, yes. If that's what you're meaning.
And she talked about that.
You also violated the alcohol condition, correct?
If you're talking about where I went to a concert,
That's correct. That's what I'm talking about.
yes.
So October of 2023, you violated your alcohol condition, true?
I went there with a bunch of friends, and my buddy who bought me the ticket, I asked him if I could pay him back. He said, no, you could just buy the drinks and snacks.
All right. And you drank the drinks also?
No, I did not.
Well, so you were seen at the concert by a detective from the Summit County Police Force,
With
correct?
buying them, yes, correct.
And you had alcohol in your hand, correct?
Correct.
She bought the drinks.
And afterwards, he contacted you, correct?
Maynard did, I believe. I don't
Okay.
think-
It was
I don't think-
Detective Maynard contacted you.
Yeah, I don't think this did.
So was it a cop that was working the concert that saw you and knew you were on probation and saw you carrying beers to the seats? Is that really what we're talking about?
And you admitted to him that you drank the alcohol, correct?
I told him I was there with it, yes.
You said you consumed it.
No, I did not. I don't recall the time I consumed it, no. I had bought the snacks and beverages for,
Would you look at what's in front of, actually, Your Honor, can we just publish this now?
No, not if it's an unsigned affidavit. You can't.
For
Objection,
impeachment
Your Honor.
purposes. Does that refresh your recollection as to what you told Detective Maynard?
No, I don't recall, but if it's there, I guess so.
So you did tell
No, she said, I don't
Detective
think I
Maynard
did.
you actually drank alcohol, correct?
I don't recall, but if it's there, I guess so.
Then in February of 2024, you wrote a letter to Judge Mabee, who was over your drug court, correct?
I don't recall.
Okay, could you show Exhibit 3012? Thank you. And in that letter in February of 24, you said that you have been in 100% full compliance with everything asked of me, so I should be allowed to do this, correct?
Yes.
But that wasn't true, right?
Yes, no, yes. Yes and no.
It was
most
not.
part,
It wasn't
yes.
true that you'd been in
No.
100% compliance. So
No.
what you represented to Judge Mabee in order to get to do
Right.
something you wanted to do wasn't.
She wants to get to this point. This is the point she's trying to make. It's going to get lost in the sauce, I think, but this is the point she wants to make. So you're willing to lie to the court to do what you want.
It wasn't
Yes.
true that you'd been in
No.
100% compliance. So
No.
what you represented to Judge Mabee in order to get to do something you wanted to do wasn't correct, right?
Correct.
It was an untrue statement.
Yes.
All right. If I could just have one moment.
Does any of that change the way that you feel about Carmen Lauber as a witness and what she said in this case?
Your Honor, that's all we have.
Did you and Detective Maynard then interview Carmen Lauber at the Wasatch County Jail?
Yes, we interviewed her several times over a number of days.
What was your approach to interviewing her?
So, as I said before, my partner, Detective Maynard, had previous involvement and knowledge of Carmen Lauber. He knew that she had a history of self-preservation and offering information in exchange for help with her charges. So we knew that going into it, but
I appreciate how carefully he picked the word self-preservation. Right.
on top of that, after serving the warrant on her home and being in her bedroom, finding Eric's obituary, it was apparent to me that she probably had some level of guilt or concern over her possible involvement in Eric's death.
How many times have you interviewed drug dealers?
Dozens, if not over 100 times.
I mean, weren't you a dog cop?
Was anything about
Y'all
interviewing
mostly do
Carmen
drugs.
Lauber more difficult than interviewing most drug dealers?
Yes, there was more time that had elapsed since the incident that we were talking to her about than what is typical for our interviews. So she had trouble with
That's
memory, remembering details of what had happened. And then again, what I spoke about earlier, she had a history of self-preservation. So she tended to minimize her involvement and hold back as much as she could, which is typical of drug dealers that we talk to. They won't give you any more than they have to until they feel like they need to.
Why 6 interviews?
As we spoke to Miss Lauber, she would give us information that she could remember.
I mean,
We
they
would take
needed
that
her
information
phone
back and work on corroborating it with other evidence, phone records, other details.
and then came back. Makes sense.
From other witnesses, and then we would go back. We would ask her more questions, try to get more information, more details. It was just a step-by-step iterative process that took several days until we felt like we had the complete picture of what her involvement was.
Did you listen to defense counsel's cross-examination of Carmen Lauber regarding your and Detective Maynard's interviews?
I did.
Did you observe how defense picked certain sentences throughout the 900 pages?
Yes.
In the full context of the interviews, do you believe that those few sentences fairly and accurately depicted the tone and tenor
That's
of
proper.
your interview?
Object, Your Honor.
What's the basis of the objection?
He's trying to make impeachment sound improper, and it's totally not improper. It is,
Don't make speaking objections. Are you objecting to the form of the question?
yes.
What is the objection to the form of the question?
Your Honor, we object to the form of the question on the grounds that it is seeking a legal conclusion, on the grounds that it is leading, and on the grounds that it is calling for speculation.
No, I don't feel like those segments that they picked out at all represented our interviews with Carmen.
One of those segments said, or quoted you saying that you needed details to ensure that Kouri Richins will get convicted of murder, and that shortly thereafter, Carmen Lauber asked for blueprints. What was the context of that discussion?
So as I said before, when we were discussing with Carmen, it was very slow moving at first. And we were trying to emphasize to her the level of detail that we needed to be able to offer her something from the prosecution's office for her cooperation. And part of that emphasis was trying to describe to her the level of detail that would be needed in a courtroom. And it was probably poor choice of words in hindsight. But that was what we were stressing, is the type of information that is acceptable to be used in a court.
I want to do what I can help do, what needs to be done to fix this.
Right.
Well, I feel like that as you were telling us that, you know, there was some talk about, can you get what MJ had, and it was kind of very superficial. Can you retell that story with all the detail you can remember?
I really can't, like, I just remember, I don't even know if it was, because like I said, I can barely remember some of it because it was so long ago. But I want to say it was the Michael Jackson, and like I said,
So tell me how that conversation would be structured. She sends you a text, and she tells you.
I want to say maybe she did say that.
She says, "Can you get?"
She said it was the Michael Jackson thing. That I know because.
And so tell me how that would have been said, because I didn't know Michael Jackson died of.
I didn't know he did either. Like I said,
I knew it was drug overdose, but like not specifically fentanyl.
Was it?
You didn't say it. Look it up.
Look it up because I'm curious too. But
So the thought was insinuated that she wanted you to get something that somebody could die from.
I know one thing, that when we got one, it wasn't dark enough. I don't even know how fentanyl really goes.
So there was a couple of, there was several transactions.
There was one.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere.
I can see it in your face.
Several transactions.
So I wanted, it's so confusing, but okay. So I want to say when she asked, but like I said, I can't remember when you think.
We'll give you all the time in the world that you need to think and remember, Carmen, but
it's
I just want you, I want you to know that if you're gonna work with us here, in order
it would
for you
be
to
so
be
easy if
credible.
you had like pieces that we can, like blueprints.
Here's the biggest piece.
I don't want to be that big.
Well, the good news is that big piece helps you out
And
tremendously.
that's what, like I said,
You hold all the
I
cards.
love Eric. He
at
was
this
a
point.
damn good dude and he didn't deserve it. It was done intentionally. He did not deserve it.
We believe you, and that's why we're here working on what your get out of jail free card looks like, based on this information. But there's 3 little boys that don't have a dad. There's a family that doesn't have a brother. You know,
Oh, and I get
don't know
that.
what Kouri's at with the deal, but
But like you guys said, she's living her life right now, and that's everybody else is fucking suffering. Like them
that's
little
what it
boys
appears.
love their daddy.
I'm sure they did.
I mean, I've seen it. Eric was that was his prized possession. Them boys were his everything. And people complain about he was gone all the time, or he worked so much, but you know what? At the end of the night, when he come in, them boys were there. And he was, like I said, that it weighed heavy on me.
I think we can get it cleared up as far as our end of it as quickly as we can get a timeline down. I know this is exhausting. I am concerned about sending paperwork back with you in your cell, because then everybody's gonna be like, what's that?
Yeah, can you guys just write it and I sign it?
Oh, no, that doesn't work that way. You know what I'm saying? Because this is gonna have to be your testimony.
Do I have to go to court? Well, that's what I just don't want to do.
When detectives executed that warrant, did they recover an orange notebook from a nightstand in the master bedroom on Kouri Richins' side of the bed?
Yes.
That afternoon, evening, I made dinner. We all ate as usual and ended the night like any other evening. Around 8:30, I read the kids' books, and at about 9 o'clock, they all climbed into bed. Eric had been on his phone most of the evening in a texting war with a hunting guide from Mexico and a few other people trying to get his horns back to the U.S. Around 9:15, he was screaming mad at these guys and threw his phone. At that point, he said, quote, "Let's go have a celebration drink." The following day, narrator voice within the narrator voice. The following day, I was closing on a huge investment home in Midway. I had been working on this deal for 4 months, and closing day was finally here, and Eric and I were going to toast for the closing. We went into the kitchen and both started grabbing ingredients for a Moscow Mule and a lemon drop shot. He was going on and on about these guys in Mexico. Well, this is going to give a lot of context to the Walk the Dog letter, isn't it? He was going on and on about these guys in Mexico and was so mad about the entire situation. March 4th, 2022, 3:20 a.m. This is not what her phone data says, but we'll get there. I woke up from sleeping with Ashton and went to crawl back in my bed. It was dark and awkwardly quiet. Eric snores more times than not, so I thought it was weird I didn't hear anything. I crawled into bed and went on Eric's side of the bed and put my arm over him. He was cold, very cold. So I pulled the blanket up on him, but his body just felt so strange to me. I grabbed my phone and called 911. I ran up to Eric to see if he was breathing or had a pulse, but he didn't. Panic had sunk in as I was talking to dispatch. She had me pull Eric to the floor and do CPR. As much as I didn't want him basically falling on the ground, I pulled him as hard as I could to get him down and began CPR/compressions until the EMT arrived. I screamed, cried, and just sat in the corner of the room by my dresser, rocking back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, hoping and praying this was a dream. Fading in and out of the moment, hoping to go back to the night before where we were laughing, kissing, and saying goodnight. I told them, EMTs, I needed to call my father-in-law. They found my phone for me, and I did. I just said something was wrong with Eric. He needed to come over quick. I told him the ambulance was here, but he wasn't breathing. The odd thing about when I had called Gene, Eric's father, is it was about 3:45, 4 a.m. by this time, and he had sounded so perky on the hello when he answered, almost like he was expecting my call. It was very strange.
They're saying just a few days later, Valentine's Day, Kouri made Eric a sandwich and placed it on the seat of his truck along with the supposed love note.
Oh my gosh, what the hell?
And then the next question is, when Eric ate the sandwich, he immediately broke out in hives, had trouble breathing. He later told his friend he thought Kouri tried to poison him. It is so fucking sad that you would go to this lie. And Austin was right. I did go back and look where they do start with, I believe. Well, I'm going to have a whole bunch of I believe today when Rick calls me.
Well, exactly. And that's what I was like, well, if you believe, then I believe this.
Yes.
Detective, are you familiar with what is known as the Walk the Dog letter?
Yes, I am.
Scott, Exhibit 2-86R, please.
Page 1, walk the dog, but take vague notes so you remember. Here is what I'm thinking, but you have to talk to Ronnie. He would probably have to testify to this, but it's super short, not a lot to it. He will need to tell Sky at the meeting next week. Upon information and belief, just like they say, a year prior to Eric's death, Ronnie was over watching football one Sunday, and Eric and Ronnie were chatting about Eric's Mexico trips. Eric told Ronnie he gets pain pills and fentanyl from Mexico from the workers at the ranch. Not to tell me because I would get mad, because I always said he just gets high every night and won't help take care of the kids. There are pictures in my phone of Eric passed out on the floor or in the chair. Ronnie should have texts from Eric talking about getting high as well. Eric told Ronnie he keeps them in an allergy pill bottle in his work truck, so I wouldn't find them. Ronnie never told me about the conversation. Eric finally told me and asked if Carmen could get him some. Eric never wanted anyone to know he had an issue, especially get caught. He always wanted Kouri to go down for him. When they traveled, Eric would put his drugs in Kouri's bag at the airlines right before they boarded. That way, if they were caught, Kouri got in trouble, not him. Once they got to wherever they were going, Eric would pull the drugs out of her bag and it would cause a huge fight. She was pissed he would risk her going to jail for his drug use. He just would laugh about it. Eric couldn't ruin his image that he had drug issues, so he would do whatever he had to. Kouri has never done any type of pills, didn't like them. Rarely would she consume THC, only if Eric begged her because it was a special occasion. Reword this however he needs to make the point, just include it all. The connection has to be made with Mexico and drugs. Ronnie will have the messages to prove Eric confided in him about getting high. It can be short and to the point, but has to be done. Upon information and belief, LOL. They never found pain pills or fentanyl in my house because he hid it in allergy bottle in work truck. And Cody emptied out work truck within a week, so they were never found. When you talk to Ronnie about this, meet up with him in person. I worry sometimes your house and phone are bugged. Maybe drive down to SL and meet him after work without Bree. Tell Ronnie don't overanalyze it. It was a quick 2-minute conversation, LOL. Tell him I need him to do this. Bring me home and then we will get those damn bitches. Also, please text Lotto or call. Tell him do not text me anything about us doing things together ever, like church, skiing, trips, nothing that puts us together. It doesn't look good. We're so close to the end, let's push through. Have the conversation with Ronnie before he meets with Sky. Then tell him to tell Sky at the meeting about the conversation. Hang in there, we're almost there. Love you to the moon. Take vague notes of all this so you remember before you walk the dog.
In the letter, she says at a meeting with Sky next week, and she talks about Ronnie telling a story about a year prior to Eric's death, Ronnie being over watching football one Sunday and talking to him about his trips to Mexico, right?
That's what the document says.
Okay. As the chief investigator of this case, did you ever go to Ronnie and say, hey, did this happen?
I believe investigators reached out to Ronnie. I don't think it was me. But I believe one of...
That's a good question. It took us a minute to get there, but that's a good question. She knows they didn't talk to Ronnie because Ronnie, I imagine, told them, yeah, you can go pound sand. But it's a good question. Did you follow up?
Go to Ronnie and say, hey, did this happen?
I believe investigators reached out to Ronnie. I don't think it was me, but I believe one of the other investigators reached out to Ronnie for interview and were not able to talk to him.
So the answer is you were never able to confirm or deny with Ronnie whether this actually happened.
I was not.
Okay, let's go to the next page. Then she tells a story about Eric putting drugs in her bag at the airlines right before they board. Now that story has been verified by Allie Staking, her friend that testified before this jury, correct?
Objection, Your Honor, foundation.
Have you been sitting in this?
The objection's overruled.
Thank you, Your Honor. Is that right?
Could you rephrase?
It's a good line of questioning. Well, Allie said that happened. Okay, but I think the question is, why did Allie say that happened? But it's a fair question. Well, Allie said,
Is a question.
That story about Eric putting drugs in Kouri's bag when they would travel and causing a fight was verified in this courtroom by Allie Staking under oath. Is that correct?
I listened to Miss Staking's testimony. She told of one incident when that happened.
In Hawaii.
This says Eric Wood as if it happened multiple times, so I don't know. I just know what I heard Miss Staking testify to.
Did you ever ask any of Kouri's friends or family if they knew of situations where it had happened before?
Where what had happened before.
Where Eric had put
Did you ask Allie if she got a letter or a phone call?
drugs in Kouri's luggage when they traveled?
I don't recall asking that specific question, but I think I heard about it coming up. I don't remember who the conversation was with, but I think I had heard something to this effect before.
That would be
involving
important.
a trip to Mexico?
Not specifically, no.
Okay. Do you remember where the trip was involved?
I don't. Sorry.
So at least someone in your investigation did at least suggest that they knew of another situation besides Hawaii where Eric did this.
No, I don't know if it was a separate one or if they were referencing the same one. I don't know for sure.
All right.
And is the jury going to believe that the letter's true? Or is the jury going to believe that the letter's not true and Allie also walked the dog?
So Ms. Richins is here today on charges that she attempted to kill her husband on February 14th of 2022. Is that right?
Uh-huh.
One of the charges.
I believe so, yes.
Yes.
You're the head investigator of this case.
Yes.
Did you take any steps to confirm or deny Mr. Richins' movements on the day of February 14th of 2022? when he
That's a
was
good
allegedly
question.
A murder was attempted on his life.
Our team did. We hired an expert in digital forensics.
So what do you know about his location?
That's a good question. If you think he was fucking murdered, did you find out where he was? But also, fair answer, yes. We hired an expert, and the expert testified yesterday.
So what do you know about his locations on that day?
That's what I'm saying. What I know and what I remember are probably two different things. What I knew at some point throughout the investigation is that Mr. Kotradimos probably found whatever location data was available on his phone and shared that with investigators. I just don't remember the contents of what those said.
You cannot say under oath what your investigation showed about where Mr. Richins was on the day that someone apparently attempted to murder him.
Apparently.
But after a 2-minute conversation with the digital forensics expert that we hired, because I just don't retain that information well.
So you don't know.
I don't remember.
You don't know right now, and we're in trial right now. Do you know right now?
Objection, Your Honor. Asked and answered.
I'll
That
withdraw.
one was a little argumentative. Sustained.
I'll withdraw. How many warrants are you aware were executed on the house, on the Richins home?
I believe around 10. I don't remember the exact number.
And in 10 different times of searching, was there ever any fentanyl
That's
recovered?
a good question. Sir, you should know this answer.
Throughout the 10 search warrants, anything that was recovered during those search warrants
What?
that we suspected may contain fentanyl, have traces of fentanyl, were sent to the state lab.
Okay.
We got results back from the state lab.
And?
There were some items that.
It
Your Honor, may we
Stop.
approach?
Okay.
Do we want to move on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no. No. That's not fair. She asked a horribly broad question, and now you've got the prosecutor standing up and being like, nope. We've got some foundation stuff. Oh, what is happening? There are probably prior rulings here that he is being careful, but I don't know if it'll read that way to the jury. And the defense is not being careful, and that's going to read that way to the jury. But now we've got him trying to be careful, her question being broad, and him trying to explain, well, actually, what a mess. There's something more there.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's something there. I don't know what the there
In the
is.
10 search warrants that were executed on this house, did you ever find any cups, glasses, straws that contained any traces of fentanyl on
Now I
them?
want to know.
Let me be clear. I wasn't present at every single time that the house was searched. So the answer is investigators in my team or investigators from the Summit County Sheriff's Office did not find cups, straws, the things you mentioned that contain fentanyl, no.
As you sit here today, can you even tell this jury the exact time that Eric Richins died?
I don't know that anybody can.
Can you tell this jury how fentanyl got inside of Eric Richins? Based on evidence, not speculation or theory, but evidence.
I mean, through his mouth.
I know it was orally ingested.
Yeah.
And that's all you know, right?
That's not all I know, but I know it was orally ingested.
Oh boy. The inartful questions are going to continue to be a problem.
I know it was orally ingested.
And that's all you know, right?
That's not all I know, but I know it was orally ingested.
Kouri's face is facing.
To this date, have you ever recovered any of the pills that Carmen Lauber allegedly gave to Kouri Richins
That's a good question.
to test to see what they are?
Nope.
That I can confirm for sure are the pills that passed from Carmen's hand to Kouri's hand.
Correct.
No.
We're at the end of the day and a very long cross-examination of ask whose job it's not. I think there is some headway that Nestor can make with this IO, especially with a whole lot of, I don't know about this. I don't know about that. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. I think there is room for her to press this IO on cross more. The difficulty is that the questions are so awkward that it becomes really hard to pin down any cross. It's just a completely different style of cross-examination that we've seen from this defense attorney. And then O'Driscoll is like, I did this part, but I didn't do that part. And I don't really know this part. I don't kind of know that part. And so even though the questions are awkward, some of the answers are also awkward. They don't come across with confidence. And I think he's trying to get there, but also I think he's trying to be mindful of some of the areas he can't get into that she's asking about. However, that might not come across to the jury as he's trying to be careful about not talking about lab results that he can't admit in. But also he's trying to answer her question, but there's also clearly something more with the lab results, but he's not answering it. I don't know if the lab results are going to come in with another witness, or if they're not going to come in at all, or if they're going to come in later. I understand that he was a fairly new homicide detective when he was assigned to this case. However, you are going to need to know what happens in the investigation because you are the investigating officer. You are essentially the lead. You are coordinating things. So you are in charge of knowing the things. So I'm not sure if somebody was asked to do this or that is not helpful at all. You need to know. Yes, the investigative team asked this person to investigate this and asked this person to investigate that. You need to know. I was surprised at how limited the direct examination was when we got to the end of the day. I am not certain ever which way the defense is going to go with this, but I think a lot of these things will be pulled into closing. The difficulty is that when the defense tries to pull those things in, half the questions the defense asked had to be restated or rephrased, or they had things wrong. So then they had to back up and kind of go about it a different way because the misstating things is consistent. So if the jury's already exhausted, I don't know if they're picking up on the points that the defense is bringing in the cross, Or if they're just like, no, that's not what the witness said. No, that's not what this witness said. No, that's not what that witness said. It makes it hard to follow when the questioning is not crisp. And I don't think this is a case where throw everything against the wall and just confuse the jury is going to help, especially when the jury has just listened to Kouri Richins on a jail call laughing about how ridiculous it all is. It's not going to necessarily make the point that they might want to make. I don't think confusion is the key, but we will have to wait and see. It seems that this is the last witness. The defense does not want this witness to refresh his recollection from his reports. She is intentionally not giving him that opportunity. She doesn't have to. It's her cross-examination. You didn't find anything in the house that was a pill of fentanyl. You didn't find a single pill of fentanyl in the house. Not a single pill, did you? You can ask leading questions. Like really specifically leading, but they have to be narrowly tailored. When officers searched the house the night of Eric's death, no one found anything that was fentanyl, or no one found any pills that were fentanyl, etc. She doesn't want to ask him to review his notes because she doesn't want him to be like, see, it's this, and see, it's this, and see, it's this. Now, the prosecution can ask him to review, is that in one of your reports? Would it refresh your recollection? The defense doesn't have to refresh his recollection, but they can also ask much more leading questions to try to get to the answers that they want to get to. And those questions are getting lost because they're not precise. And that's, I think, where a lot of my frustration is, because it's like, no, that's a good area of questioning. Wait, why did we just back up and go the other way on that questioning? It's like the end of the LA marathon. You think it's going to go one way and then it sure fucking doesn't. You're like, what the hell just happened? And that's how I feel after that cross. I feel like, what the hell just happened? What in the world are we even watching? That's how I feel. Thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed this episode and don't want to miss updates on your favorite cases, you're going to need the LawNerd app at lawnerd.app.com. That way you can stay in the loop on the cases that matter most to you, and you never know when you're going to catch feelings for a new case. So make sure you get it for free on iOS and Android. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being a Law Nerd.